Leading a startup team, whether you're delivering a sugar rush, stocking coffee, or getting a regular delivery of snacks, Office Depot has solutions that fit every startup culture, from getting those first business cards and stationery to ordering fleece pullovers with your new logo. To learn how Office Depot and the California Technology Council have partnered to bring you savings on all of these startup essentials and more, go to californiatechnology.org/member benefits. I'm Daniel Levine, and this is the Bio Report. As people age, the ability of their eyes to focus on objects near to them weakens. The condition, known as presbyopia, affects more than 1.8 billion people worldwide. Though reading glasses provide a solution to the problem, Orasis Pharmaceuticals is developing a corrective eye drop it says will provide an alternative. We spoke to Elad Kedar, CEO of Orasis, about aging eyes. Its experimental eye drop, intended to allow people to free themselves from a dependency on reading glasses, and how it works. Elad, thanks for joining us.
Sure, thank you. Pleasure to speak with you.
We're going to talk about presbyopia, why many of us need reading glasses when we age, and your efforts to develop a corrective eye drop to treat the condition. Let's start with presbyopia. What is it? How does it manifest itself? And how does it progress?
Okay, sure. So presbyopia is an age-related phenomena. It's basically the loss of ability to focus on near objects. So, and resulting in the loss of ability to do day-to-day tasks that are associated with, reading from near. For example, reading the screen of your smartphone, reading a menu in the restaurant, etc. It happens due to the gradual decline in the elasticity of the lens in our eye. So it's a natural aging process. It usually starts roughly at the age of 45, sometimes even a bit earlier, and it progresses with years. So, you start with putting your smartphone at as far as possible. You move into increasing the font of the screen, and eventually it's inevitable to use some devices or any other help to improve your near vision. And, the most common one so far has been reading glasses, but there are many other alternatives now being developed, and us is one of them. One more thing which is important to mention about presbyopia, it's almost inevitable. 8 out of every 10 people exceeding the age of 45 will eventually have presbyopia, so it's a real global phenomena. You have almost 2 billion people with presbyopia worldwide, and about 120 million people in the U.S., and the numbers continue to increase. So it's definitely quite a big phenomenon.
You're developing an eye drop to treat the condition. This is CSF1. What is CSF1, and how does it work?
Okay, so indeed the product that we have developed is pharmaceutical eye drops, currently codenamed CSF1. And basically the way we work through what is called a pinhole effect. Our drug creates what is called a pupil modulation. So we constrict the pupil, but to a very limited amount, because if you constrict your pupil too much, it may create a negative phenomena. So the pupil constriction that we were able to achieve creates what is called a pinhole effect, which increases the depth of field, and this is what eventually improves the near vision. So that's actually a very common concept in optics, in ophthalmology. But really, the innovation that we have at Orasis is firstly that we're able to find that sweet spot that reaches the right amount of pupil modulation, which enables a superior improvement of your near vision without any compromise on other elements such as distance vision or night vision or visual field that may be caused by too much of a pupil constriction. So that is one major element in our innovation. Another one is that we have a combination of existing and well-studied molecules in our drug, in our product, that enable not only, eventually, when you look at the whole package, you see not only a superior near visual acuity improvement, but it also comes with several other important elements, such as very fast onset of action, long duration of action, a very comfortable feeling when you administer the drops, and finally, a very safe and tolerable product. This is eventually a quality of life product, and safety and tolerability are always important, and especially when you refer to quality of life drugs. So that was achieved through using existing and well-studied molecules, but moreover, using very, very low concentrations. So this is basically, in a nutshell, the innovation of Orasis and CSF1.
You mentioned that you found this sweet spot where someone using this can still have their other eyesight function. How wide a margin is there to operate in?
Wide of a margin, you mean in terms of the pupil size?
In terms of the eye drops affecting your ability to do things other than read.
Yeah, so we in all our studies, we have been clearly demonstrating that the pupil reduction was strong enough and showed really great results on the near vision. But in addition to, the traditional endpoints, safety endpoints of every study, we actually also tested those relevant endpoints that would make sure that there are no other safety or tolerability concerns. So, for example, we tested impact on distance vision in regular luminance, in low luminance, and we saw that there was no negative impact, even a tiny improvement which was attributed to the increase in depth of field. But obviously the key here is to being able to demonstrate that you are not negatively affecting distance vision, because obviously if you would use eye drops for presbyopia that improve your near vision, but then it comes on the account on distance vision, whether low or regular luminance, that's definitely going to be a very limiting factor, and we wanted to avoid that. So this is why the range that we have is such that it's not getting into all those danger zones, let's say, of too strong of a pupil constriction.
How is CSF1 discovered?
Well, it was, as I mentioned, it's a combination of existing and well-studied molecules using also existing concepts, but it was eventually discovered through understanding that there is a very clear unmet need here in this space of presbyopia. Understanding that the mechanism of action of pinhole effect and increasing depth of field is something that can definitely work. However, the attempts until our research were not in the area of pharmaceutical eye drops. There was, for example, an attempt to improve near vision through inlays that are being inserted to the eye through the same concepts of pinhole effect and increasing depth of field, but obviously it's an invasive procedure that has potentially long-term complications, and therefore it wasn't really very successful. But the inventors of our formula and of CSF1 thought about those ideas and those concepts and realized that that can be actually applied using pharmaceutical eye drops that would actually make temporary correction and not necessarily a fixed inlay that is being put in the eye. And then following a very long process of optimization, finding the right ingredients, again, from the pool of existing ingredients that have already been administered to the eye, finding the right ingredients, optimizing the combination, optimizing the concentrations, eventually we are able to find the right formula that so far in all our clinical studies has been demonstrating great results, both on the efficacy and on the safety and tolerability.
Well, you recently announced results from a phase 2b clinical trial. What exactly is known about the safety and efficacy of the drops?
Yeah, so efficacy was really exceptional. We actually used the primary endpoint was 3-line improvement, which is a standard test for near visual acuity improvement, using even the specific chart that the FDA considers as a standard one, called ETDRS. So we were able to demonstrate 3 lines of improvement, which is really a meaningful near visual acuity improvement. Just to illustrate that, 2 lines improvement are actually considered meaningful by ophthalmologists, meaningful near visual acuity, so let alone 3 lines, which is 50% more in a way. So definitely a meaningful improvement. And on the safety and tolerability, we actually tested, all the traditional ones, as well as specific ones that are related to our drug and, overall presbyopia eye drops. So I mentioned earlier impact on distance vision, and we saw no negative impact and even a small improvement. We saw no change in eye redness. We saw great results in comfort, which again, in such a drug is very important. And overall, the safety and tolerability profile was really, really exceptional. Consistent, by the way, with all the studies we did before, so not a surprise, but definitely seeing that in a much more robust study, more than 160 patients, that was done in the U.S., it's definitely very encouraging results.
How long do the effects last, and how often would someone use the drops, and under what circumstances?
Well, in terms of effect, firstly, it's important also to mention onset of action, and the onset of action is very, very fast. In terms of the duration of effect, it lasts several hours. It's a pharmacological eye drop, so it's not a fixed number per person, but definitely we saw a profile of several hours of duration. So this is about the duration of action. Remind me the second question?
Well, under what circumstances would someone use the drops?
Okay, so that's a very important question. It's a quality of life drug, and there is not going to be any prescription that you are obliged to follow in terms of whether once a day or twice a day. You really use it when you want it, and then it becomes really individual. Some people would like to have the impact of such a drug for many hours during the day. For example, when they go to the office in the morning and they want to have the effect for, typical working day of, 8 or 9 hours. Others, for example, would like to use such a drug occasionally. For example, when they go to a restaurant on Friday night and they don't want to use their reading glasses when they read the menu or after that when they get a check. So it's going to vary and depend first and foremost on only on the will of every individual that is going to use the drug.
Is the expectation that this would be a prescription product, or would this be sold over the counter?
So, that hasn't been finalized yet. There is definitely a potential for it to become a prescription drug at the first stage and move maybe to an over-the-counter at the later stage, but this is something that still needs to be finalized by the time that we launch the product.
And is the expectation that you would commercialize this on your own, or would you seek a partner or sell it?
This is something that we haven't really discussed in public yet, but I can definitely share with you that we are definitely making all the efforts in order to make the product available as soon as possible in the market, and we will make sure that the product becomes eventually available to everybody. Firstly, in the U.S. market, that's our key market for now, but definitely at a later stage also to other key markets globally, because, as I mentioned, it's a global phenomena, and we think that this is a product that can really benefit people all over the world.
And is there a pipeline behind this product, or is this what the company will be forever?
The company now focuses mainly on that product, which is, definitely a very clear unmet need and a huge population out there. So that's definitely our main project.
And who do you expect to be the market for this product? Obviously, there's a large population with the condition, but who do you expect to target as the primary user?
Well, we haven't really gone into detailed disclosing of all marketing plans of the product. I can share with you, however, that clinically speaking, the product is really, except for people with potentially very unique eye complications, for the vast majority of people with presbyopia, which are probably around the ages of 45 to 65, this is probably the main group, but there are definitely some outliers below and above. For most of them, the product is going to be relevant clinically and helpful. So eventually, the market is going to be very, very big, and the product is going to be affordable for everybody.
Well, I mean, that leads an interesting question. I mean, you're ultimately competing against eyeglasses, which are safe and effective. And while I sometimes am shocked at what I spend for my eyeglasses, from an economic point of view, I imagine using an eye drop on a regular basis would be more expensive. Does that restrict you in any way on what kind of value you can get out of the product?
Well, we haven't announced pricing yet. I can definitely share with you that we want people to be able to use that product on a daily basis, and therefore our attention is eventually to launch the product with a price which is really affordable for people to use it on a regular basis. So definitely, you mentioned reading glasses, and there are other types of glasses such as bifocals or multifocals. And I don't think that once we launch our drops, we are going to eliminate reading glasses from the world. In a way similar to what happened, a couple of decades ago with the cinema and the video. The video came, in the meantime moved into DVD and streaming, etc., and the cinema is still out there. So I also believe that reading glasses will still be out there. We are just offering another alternative that many people will really like as a complete alternative for reading glasses. Some may like it, maybe occasionally over the weekend or on specific activities. But it's definitely, we foresee it to become a real important alternative within the current therapies for presbyopia these days, which currently are very limited. So I think that launching and introducing such a simple, safe, effective solution for presbyopia is going to be a refreshing addition to that market. Is there
any chance you see getting reimbursement for a product like this?
We actually haven't really started to discuss that. I do know that, to discuss that with PBMs, etc. in the US, I do know that there are some levels of reimbursement in some specific programs for visual aids, but with or without reimbursement, we want to make sure that the price is going to be affordable for people to use it.
What's the path forward? What's it going to take to bring this to market?
So we finished very successfully phase 2B. Results were very clear, and we almost immediately started our preparations to phase 3, which is the pivotal study before launch. And we are working very hard on finalizing all the preparations for the phase 3, and we are planning to start it very, very soon in the coming months. Once we complete the phase 3, and based on the results, we are going to move into all relevant regulatory activities in order to launch the product as soon as possible.
Elad Kedar, Chief Executive Officer of Orasis. Elad, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure talking with you.
Thanks for listening. The Bio Report is a production of the Levine Media Group. To automatically download this podcast each week, subscribe to our RSS feed or through iTunes or other podcast manager. To join our mailing list, go to levinemediagroup.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to drop us a line or are interested in sponsoring this podcast, send an email to danny@levinemediagroup.com. Special thanks to Jonah Levine, who composed our theme music, and the Jonah Levine Collective, which performs it.